Here we are at Armadillo Dean to do the Dean Armadillo Tour with Gearsy.com. Thanks, man.
Cool. Alright, gang, it's actually, you came here on a pretty cool day. This is actually, no, let's get ahead of myself. Let me get started here with giving you guys a little bit of history about what we do here. So Dean Guitar is kind of our main brand. It's a guitar company that was founded in 1977 in a garage in Chicago, Illinois. Over the course of time, they started with 3 models. Over the course of time, with more and more demand happening and more models being added to the line, we now find ourselves going from that garage that moved to Florida to a very small building, and then to this giant 110,000 square foot warehouse where we now find ourselves. We ship to 55 countries around the world. 250 guitars leave here every single day. It's a pretty big operation. But I was going to point these out just so this is pretty cool. Is any Pantera fans here? Alright, well, it's cool for you, man. Dimebag Darrell was the name of one of our Patriarch endorsers, and right here is just his stage setup. He was a pretty big legend in the heavy metal scene, so we like to just try to keep this stuff around for rockabilia purposes.
God bless Don.
This right here is the first stop on our tour. This is what we call our setup department. Usually there's a whole crew here, but right now, something's left early. So anyway, it's the job of this crew here to make sure that all of our import instruments, the ones that come from China, Korea, and Indonesia, are the definition of perfect before we send them out. The instruments, the specs that we hold these instruments to are the same as our USA instruments that we build in-house. If something doesn't look perfectly, if something can't play perfectly or be set up perfectly, we either send the instrument back to the manufacturer or we send it to somebody that does our stock sales. But we don't let anything out there that at least won't play perfectly. Everyone on the crew here, they're trained how to do guitars, basses, banjos, ukulele, flutes. I know I'm missing a few things, but they're pretty extensively trained. You don't have to have gone to some fancy guitar school either to get a job here. If you get a job here, almost everyone starts in the setup line and we teach you everything you have to know. It's a pretty cool gig to have. Everyone on the crew does between 40 and 60 instruments a day. It's a real intricate process.
Retirement.
Yeah.
Playing 2 guitars.
That's a lot of guitars. Make it a little noisy in here. Woodshop. But this is the only place on the planet that we build handmade USA Dean guitars. Pretty much all started with these 2 huge machines you see on both sides of me. These are called CNC machines. Anything that we're able to draw into the computer, these machines are able to recreate for us. We pretty much just use this one for necks and this one for bodies, although it is interchangeable. I'll give you folks just a rundown on how we do just necks, because there's a lot that goes into that. So, pieces of wood that we slather with glue and we let it dry. Let's see. The next thing we're going to do is we glue on these side panels here for what's going to be our giant headstock, and we route out for where our truss rod is going to be. Now this is where the CNC machine really starts to come in handy. It's able to cut our fretboard to shape for us. It's able to do all of our inlay work. It's able to put our radius on the fretboard. It's able to start shaping our neck for us. Here's one a little further along, one a little bit further than that. It takes from, depending on the guitar, 7 to 9 steps alone just for the neck, depending how complicated the build is going to be. So, after a body or a neck comes off the machine, there's still a lot of work that has to be done to it before we send it to paint. We don't do any painting in-house. Our painters are up in Wisconsin and out in California.
just where our favorite painters are. It's a lot of EPA regulations to open like just an industrial paint booth in a warehouse, you know, so we can say forget it, we send it to great painters. So anyway, let's go on the line, folks. As I was mentioning, there's still a lot of work that has to be done to these things before we can send it out to paint. The edges on this are way too sharp, paint won't adhere to that. This is going to be part of a set neck guitar, so we're going to have to put this in the guitar, and then the heel is going to have to be sanded in, so it's just a nice smooth transition. So it's the job of two dudes right here, if one of them's gone, to make sure that our guitars are sanded, and there can't be a single scratch in them. I mean, yeah, come on in, don't be shy. Everybody notices the hands right away. So, guys, this is Louis. Louis is the main dude. Every single Dean guitar that's come out here in the last 7 or 8 years, Louis has had his hands on making sure that perfection is, present.
Nice guitar.
You want to talk about what you're working on?
around it. Been working on it for a few hours. And yeah, it is heavy. It's American maple on top and alder on the back. It's going to be a very, very nice guitar when it's done. As good as the best money can buy, pretty much. But I won't be done with that till probably maybe the end of the day, if I'm lucky. And by about 6 o'clock, that thing will be all polished up. There will be no scratches or no sharpness or anything like that.
Wow. Nice. Handmade, USA.
Mark was telling you guys about the roundness. Like, you see how that's really, really, really sharp? The back of it's sharp, and this is all rounded over. And we do that because you couldn't paint it sharp. The paint would never be able to adhere to the wood. It would just crack right there where that 90-degree turn is. So we have to put like a round over on it, kind of like you see here. You know, it's nice and round. It's not sharp at all. And that way the paint, just like in the automotive where we're painting the car, it sticks. It's very important to have that paint stick.
Nice.
Yes. This is also a very sweet guitar that we have. It's the only one in the whole world. We've never made one before. It's kind of a secret. It's kind of special. And we're just waiting on the big boss to sign off on what color he wants it. But yeah, this is very nice. It has the African ebony razor blade inlay and the ebony inlays instead of white mother of pearl.
Was that a flame maple or?
Yeah, flame maple top, matching flame maple headstock. All mahogany back, very nice. Very
I like
nice
that.
piece of mahogany.
It's fantastic.
And yeah, I mean, this one's still in very rough shape too. I mean, I still would have several hours to spend on something like this. But by the time I'm done with it, the painter can just take it and he doesn't have to mess with it. He just starts spraying paint on it. And we have the best painter in the world. You know, he's not cheap and he's hard to come by. He's on the other side of the country, but he's the absolute best that money can buy. You know, he's kind of famous in his own right.
Killer.
Yeah, that's my little area over here. Yeah.
Alright guys, let's keep going.
Alright. Take that with you? Oh, you want
I will.
Yeah.
What model is that guitar?
Which one? Okay. All
Those
right.
are V's, right?
Yeah, these are your. This is like our regular flying V. You know, it's very round down here. This is like our Dave Mustaine signature VMNP, Strata VMNP. We have the Stradivarius looking going on here. And it's actually not a hollow guitar. It's just hollow right here, right here. So it's still going to sound and play like your normal electric would. You know, it still gets a 9-volt battery here to power the pickups. This is actually a very, very crazy guitar too. About $4 grand for one of those.
Thank you.
Yep.
Those are killer. I like the ones that you've done, like the custom Rust in Peace and your.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite album.
Yeah.
From any band, period.
Really?
So yeah. So that's.
You heard it, Dave. That's a great album.
I like that shirt. That's good.
It's a great album.
Right there.
Awesome, man. Nice meeting you, Louis. Thank
Okay,
you, brother.
So, over here, this is where we keep our secret stash of wood, our killer stuff. Now, we're able to build pretty much anything within the bounds of the law, which means really no rainforest wood, certain types of woods from India. Excuse me. So I'll just kind of give you guys some examples of some of the cooler stuff we use. Here's some spalted maple right here. You can see how fresh it is. You know, it still has the bark from the tree on there. You know, it's very raw. Another thing, this is pretty cool. Here's some burled flamed maple. Yeah, that's pretty. Very pretty. Here's some Wow, there we go. Some burl redwood right here. It's great stuff. You know, we don't build entire bodies with these. We only use these for tops, mostly because either the wood is incredibly fragile, or it's just so expensive that we just couldn't afford to do it. You know, I mean we could, but no one wants to pay that much for it. Yeah. You know. So what's actually really interesting too, and I like to point this out, a lot of these patterns are actually examples of diseased trees. So like for example, this bird's eye that you see right here, every single one of these dots, this is what happens when a tree gets a disease and it thinks it has to grow hundreds of thousands of extra branches. Each one of these dots is the beginning of a branch trying to grow. And that's what gives it such a beautiful thing. Once you hit it with the clear, it just pops out at you.
Yeah.
Same thing with the spaled maple. This is another example of a diseased tree. Yeah, the patterns are pretty, you know.
They are.
Over here, this is so here's the resaw. This is what we use to actually cut that wood into super thin layers so that it don't blow out, so the wood is nice and flat the whole way. This machine, this is one of the coolest machines that we have here. It's called a radio frequency gluer. So normally when you're using wood glue and you're doing it like this, the old school style, this thing is slathered with glue. You got to use these clamps. This is going to take up to 24 hours to dry. This radio frequency gluer, on the other hand, so like when we're building necks, I was showing you, you know, we almost always take 2 or 3 planks of wood, we slather them with glue. We can fit about 7 or 8 necks in here, or 2 bodies at a time. This lid closes, and then what it does is it shoots radio frequencies at the glue at such a rapid rate that it causes it to have a chemical reaction and to dry in 35 seconds. So it's great. And once this is dry, it's ready to go on the machine right now. The natural bond, or the bond of this wood glue is actually stronger than the natural bond of the wood itself. So it takes quite a bit to break it up, you know. But after we have our necks made, we put a date on here. We let them sit on the shelf for a month and a half to 2 months to make sure that if the neck is going to twist or it's going to warp, it has every chance to do that before we waste our time by putting it on an instrument.
Those are the original templates.
And you're